Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, the Russell Berrie Foundation, making a difference, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, moving the region through air, land, rail, and sea, PSE&G, committed to providing safe, reliable energy now and in the future, the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, NJM Insurance Group, serving New Jersey's drivers, homeowners, and business owners for more than 100 years. Englewood Health, TD Bank, and by Eastern Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters. We build tomorrow's workers. Promotional support provided by NorthJersey.com and Local IQ, part of the USA Today network. And by ROINJ, informing and connecting businesses in New Jersey.
This is One-on-One. I'm an equal American just like you are.
The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday.
Look at this. You got this?
Here it is, man. Look at that.
Life without dance is boring.
I don't care how good you are or how good you think you are, there is always something to learn.
Do you enjoy talking politics?
No.
People call me because they feel nobody's paying attention.
Our culture, I don't think, has ever been tested the way it's being tested right now.
That's a good question. High five.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. I want to thank you for joining us as we continue to produce remotely. We are honored to be joined by Thomas Baffuto, who is, in fact, the Executive Director of the ARC of New Jersey. Good to see you, Thomas.
Good morning, Steve. Delightful to be here.
Tell everyone what the ARC is.
The ARC is a statewide advocacy organization for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We provide advocacy in all areas of people's lives and their families. We also provide services through our 20 local county chapters that provide services in all 21 counties.
Thomas, how has this global pandemic, COVID-19, impacted your work, but also the people that you're serving with intellectual and developmental disabilities?
Well, as like everybody else, this has been a very challenging time. Our number one effort, we're keeping all of our folks safe. All programs shut down. People living in group homes had to remain in their homes. And we weren't allowing visitors, or it was just a really difficult time. But through the great work of our DSPs, our direct support professionals, the staff in the group home, this is staff who showed up every day, even while the rest of us were working from home, our direct support professionals went into those group homes every day and provided supports and services to our individuals. So you can imagine for a person with intellectual and developmental disabilities, it was difficult to understand why they couldn't visit with their family anymore, why they couldn't go to their day program or their job anymore. And it was just very difficult to help them to understand what was going on. But we were able to do it, and we did a lot of positive things during this time.
You know, you're a nonprofit, we're a nonprofit. I know the Horizon Foundation has been a big supporter of what you're doing, and Horizon has been with us as well. They supported an initiative called the Healthy Lifestyle Program. What is that, and how is it connected to the ARC?
It's an incredible partnership the ARC of New Jersey has developed with the Horizon Foundation. There is a great deal of information out there for the general public to how to live a healthy lifestyle, diet, exercise. But that information wasn't accessible, wasn't understandable for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Through our partnership with the Horizon Foundation, we took all of that information and made it accessible and understandable for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We put together programs to talk about the importance of diet, the importance of exercise. We did work around how to wear a mask, why it's important to wear a mask. We did a Stay Healthy at Home webinar series. We did a Positive Pulse newsletter giving healthy tips to people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, exercise classes, cooking classes, all the things that you and I have readily accessible to us. We had to make accessible to people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and we are able to do that through this great partnership with the Horizon Foundation.
You know, Thomas, as we're thinking about this, we use the term intellectual, developmental disabilities. And I'm thinking about the emotional support that is needed for, I hate saying this population because they're individuals who have individual needs on so many levels, but the emotional needs they have. Could you talk about that, Thomas?
Oh, sure. Well, as you can imagine, during this pandemic, that was of critical importance to us. People living with their families had to stay home, couldn't go out to the day programs. We were able to provide that support through very creative ideas, using Zoom calls, telephone calls. We had great partnerships with our communities. We had fire departments riding by our group homes. We had communities delivering food to our group homes and just doing wonderful things, all virtual, of course, to help with the emotional support. Just like this has been difficult for you and I, Steve, it's been very difficult for us to help folks with intellectual disabilities understand what is going on. But again, through creative programming, through our local chapters and other service providers, and with the support of the community, we've been able to do the best we can to provide them with the emotional support they need during this difficult time.
Say someone wanted to make a difference, Thomas. By the way, Steve Adubato here remotely with Thomas Baffuto, who is Executive Director of the ARC of New Jersey. Say someone said, I want to make a difference. I want to be helpful. What could they do? We'll put up your website right now. Go ahead.
Sure. Well, there's so many ways. Certainly, we never anticipated this pandemic, and access to PPE, personal protective equipment, was a huge challenge for us. And we've had to spend thousands of dollars that we didn't have, that we need to raise the money for. And included with that, if people want to help engage at our group homes or do some creative things from a distance or drop some things off, it's always something that's important to us. So a financial contribution to help our chapters, always important. Community rallying around our individuals who are in the group homes and staying there. All of those kind of things are important to what we do. And certainly our heroes are our DSPs, our direct support professionals. Just putting up a sign saying thank you to the staff that have worked 24/7 in our group homes is certainly appreciated also, because again, there are real heroes out there.
Hey, Thomas, I want to thank you for the work that you're doing every day. And we wish you nothing but the best. You have an open line of communication with us if we can help in any way. Thomas, thank you so much.
Steve, thank you for the opportunity. Have a great day.
You got it. I'm Steve Adubato. We will be right back.
To watch more one-on-one with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
Saranne Rothberg is, in fact, the founder and CEO of ComedyCures Foundation, joins us once again. How are you doing?
I am great. I gained that COVID-19 that everybody talks about, the 19 pounds that go after COVID.
No. You look great. Last time you joined us, we were in the studio and we had an important conversation about the work of ComedyCures. Remind folks what the foundation is and why you're more important than ever before.
Thank you. We bring therapeutic entertainment to the ill and underserved. And we used to have many award-winning live programs, and we had to pivot in March, and we had to come up with a way to continue to serve in a super relevant way, but do it digitally and be socially distanced.
We met back in, I believe, 2003, the Russell Berrie Foundation, the Making a Difference Awards. You were recognized as a winner, as someone who's making a huge difference. Back in 2003, you've stayed connected to the foundation, but let's do a little bit on your background so that people can understand that. You were diagnosed with cancer 21 years ago. You've been cancer-free.
Well, actually, I was misdiagnosed 27 years ago, and it wasn't for 6 years I was diagnosed.
At what point did you decide, I remember talking to you about this before, but it's important our audience understands this, that ComedyCures would be created, that you would be the leader with so many others, and you would want to make a difference in the lives of others. And as it says, I've never taken this off, live, love, laugh, right? Live, love, laugh. Where did you come up with that? And how did you know that that would be the key to so many people struggling?
So my first chemo treatment, April 30th, 1999, I decided to throw a chemo comedy party. And I did that in New York, and I saw the joy that it brought everyone, not just myself or my caregivers that were there, but the doctors, the nurses, the phlebotomists, the pharmaceutical reps, anybody that was in that space of that chemo room. When they entered, it was entering my celebration of life. And I looked around that room and I said, my gosh, we've changed the taste, the touch, the sound, the experience of having chemotherapy. I think I need to do this all over, anyone that will let me show them the power of therapeutic humor and a comic perspective. So that little chemo comedy party, April 30th, 1999, has become like a laughter and comedy revolution. And now more than ever in COVID, we are seeing that we are still so needed and so relevant. So we took what I started in that chemo chair, and we've gone to 4 continents since then. I was scheduled to go to the Vatican and to do programming at a really interesting think tank with the Pope this past summer, and that got postponed till 2021. But I mean, I never imagined, I hoped and prayed that I would survive a stage 4 cancer diagnosis, and I did. Thank God I have no visible disease still to today. But the fact that I could take that little chemo comedy party with my little band of supporters and bring that to the World Health Organization, bring it to the United Nations, to the first therapeutic reunion on Broadway for the families of September 11th. I mean, laughter is contagious, and using a comic perspective for a stress management strategy, whether you're a frontline worker or you're living with someone that you're quarantined with, or whether you just want to connect with family, friends, workers around the world, having a comic perspective is such a great tool right now. So we are teaching Zoom chats, believe it or not.
What's a Zoom chat?
We're doing workshops on Zoom where frontline workers from all over the world can join in and learn how to use a comic perspective for de-stressing, for respite, for revitalizing, refreshing themselves because they're under so much stress. So normally we teach this program live, right? We would go into a hospital or we would teach the convention. And now we're doing it through Zoom. And we just did one last week that was so fun. We had a major cardiologist from California. We had a major cancer researcher from New York. We had a dental surgeon. We had a nurse, like people who would never meet each other, letting down their guard, if they opt to be visible on Zoom. Some people do it without being visible and become part of this learning workshop where they share an hour of laughter, of fun, of exercises. So that's been one of the really cool programs that we've done during the pandemic.
What is fan casting? Is that something different?
Yeah, fan casting is actually a private startup that I thought of in March, beginning of April. I come out of the entertainment industry originally, and the first thing I saw was how static and boring everything got, whether it was a live audience in a talk show not being able to be there, or a sporting event, concert, comedy, or music. And immediately I came up with this idea of how to create an audience that could be socially distanced and safe, right? But still have this experience of being reactive, and the team or the performer could feed off of the energy of that audience. So I contacted a buddy who was a former Fortune 500 CEO of 7-Eleven and Blockbuster. And I said, I have this idea of how I can solve the fan audience situation. And I told him, and he just said, let's do it. So he got together a team of technical people, and our startup fan casting was born. And so it's quite amazing. We're already in discussions with a major sporting universe and a music and comedy universe, because the things that have come out, even since I came up with my whole technical solution, pale in comparison. So we've seen cardboard cutouts in Korea. We've seen sex dolls used in audiences. We've seen screens used. We've seen people zooming in from home, sitting on their couch. But no one has come up with this really cool interactive audience experience. And that's what we're doing. So I'm blown away. It's like I have two hats. Part of the day I work on ComedyCures, which is my passion, and we do that, all over right now. For ComedyCures, we're collecting another 1,000 new toys and games to deliver. We've already delivered to Harlem Hospital, Brookdale Family Center, and to know that the kids who can't have their visitors and they can't have their child life specialists because they're on COVID floors now, that every day they can wake up and get a new gift to play with and explore. As a retired teacher, that was super important to me, that we thought of a way at ComedyCures to keep kids still kids, even though they have to go through the pandemic and medical treatments, like the rest of us.
Let me ask you before I let you go. In 2003, when you won the Russell Berrie Award for Making a Difference, real quick, the difference it made in the organization, because we would not have met if it were not for that event.
No, I always think about that. It comes around every year, and I try to go when I can. And I know that you host it too, and that you're still involved. I mean, just thinking about, I've given away 14,000 toys from the Russell Berrie Foundation alone. I mean, just, the amount of gifts that I've been able to give because of their generosity. Also, when you win a Making a Difference award, it allows hospitals and orphanages and camps for all kids and senior centers. It allows people to see the work you're doing and then ask you to continue to do it on a bigger and better level. So I'm grateful, and I love Angelica, and I loved Russ. I had met him too before he passed away. And they've been part of our organization's growth and success because they are, and God rest his soul, such big philanthropists that when they approach you, it means it's like a seal of approval that you're doing great things in the universe.
Trust me, I know, because they've been a part of our growth from day one as well. And as they celebrate the 25th anniversary,
Amazing.
I just want to say thank you, not just for being with us once again, but for doing the work you're doing every day. And we wish you and everyone on the team all the best. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. We love coming back every few years. It means I'm still here and that we're still doing good things. I think my dog agrees.
I got it. Thanks so much. I'm Steve Adubato. We'll be right back.
To watch more one-on-one with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
We are honored to be joined by Dr. Moshe Kam, who is Dean of the Newark College of Engineering at NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology. Good to see you, Doctor.
Same here. Very, very glad to have the opportunity to talk to you.
Same here. Dr. Joel Bloom, your president, one of our longtime partners, colleagues, NJIT, one of our higher ed partners. We've talked a lot about some of these initiatives. You are more involved directly. I'm going to be specific. You've been very much involved with your colleagues in designing a prototype for a face shield for frontline healthcare workers dealing with COVID, correct?
That's correct.
Tell us about that.
Okay, so we started working on this thing as we realized that face shields will be needed. And as we examined what's available, and what's available was in most cases face shields that need to be replaced very often, and the ones that you could buy in the past in large quantities were essentially non-available. So we decided to actually shift a facility that we have, which is the Makerspace. We have a large educational facility, about 10,000 square feet, for teaching, manufacturing, and production for engineers. And we decided to convert it to a production facility for face shields. We took a group of individuals who worked with physicians in order to design a face shield that will be easy to wear, will be effective, will be washable, and you could use it for a long time. So right now we have a prototype, and in fact, we not only have a prototype, we produced it in large numbers that you can actually use 20 or 30 times before you have to discard it. And after designing it and testing it several times, we started producing it. And I can show you a prototype if you want to.
Please do.
Okay, so this is the final product. This is what you get. And as you can see, you know, of course I can wear it. And what was important in the design of this is that we made it in pieces that will be easy to manufacture and easy to assemble. So what you have here is a headband, and this is made out of injection molded, and I'll explain that. A high density, the technical name is polypropylene, but it is a type of plastic. And this we have designed and worked with CMG Plastics in Somerville, New Jersey to make. And then there is the shield itself, which is cut to shape from rolls of PET plastic. And we are doing it using computer-controlled knife. And we have done that with a manufacturer of this kind of material for food containers, named Nolo Products in Paterson, New Jersey. And then there is the strap, which is also a separate design. And then there is also a cushion that you have here for the forehead. Now, when you get the whole thing, you get it like this, semi-assembled, and all you need to do is go ahead and strap it. And we have, the challenge, of course, was how to make it. But the bottom line is this: by now, we have made about 15,000 of them, and we have distributed them all over New Jersey. And
Could it be national, doctor? Is there any reason why this should only be in New Jersey?
It's just a matter of quantities, okay? Yeah, of course, we continue. And in fact, some of them we did send to Ohio, okay? We have some organizations, some hospital chains that we work with in Ohio about this project, and also on working on replacement parts for ventilators, which is also an area that we have been active on during this pandemic. And yes, we can continue essentially now for a very long time, but the current run is planned to go to 25,000, and then we'll see how the market looks, to what extent there is a need for us to continue to do it, and if necessary, we will.
Doctor, let me ask you this. The role of higher education as you're describing this, and again, we've talked to Dr. Bloom about this, he says it will never be the same. It's changing dramatically. You and your colleagues at NJIT have been involved in this for a while in terms of using 3D printers, et cetera, et cetera. Do you see in the age of COVID, an institution like NJIT, other institutions of higher learning, playing a more important role than ever before in addressing a global pandemic like this and other incredibly challenging, complex challenges that we will face?
So I'll answer your question in the manner of an example.
Sure.
We needed to make them, you know, we needed to take the pieces and put them together. And what happened was that a group of students contacted us, a group of students from NJIT's Honors College, and said, you know, you need them assembled. We will find individuals who assemble it for you. And they went into the community, and they went to the high schools where they came from, and to the places where they live. And they actually are responsible, out of the run that we have had, to some like 8,000 of those.
So students?
Yeah, students. Basically what happened is we gave them the pieces. They brought them back assembled. We sterilized them, and then we sent them around. So this, I think I'm trying to answer your question by this example, but this example, I think, is identifying what is actually will be happening, I believe. We are going to have a much tighter connection to the community. We will be much more, I think, attuned to the need of the areas and the groups and the populations within which we work. And I think that our students will be much more tied to the future clients and customers than it used to be before the pandemic.
Doctor, let me do this. I have about a minute left. The throat swab, what is it and why does it matter so much?
The throat swab?
Yes.
Yeah, this is a device that is helping you to do basically analysis in order to collect material, in order to do analysis of the the biological material that you are sweeping. And in fact, there was a little bit of an effort here also to make those. Though I must tell you that we found that industry was able to rise to the challenge much faster, and we actually did not. We thought we wanted to work on those areas where there was a need, and the two areas that, from our viewpoint, was a need was these shields, and the other area, as I told you, many people spoke about making new ventilators and creating ventilators, but there was a huge number of ventilators that were half functioning.
That's right.
And what we have done was to actually create pieces for them, and when you put these pieces in them, they operate, and this way a large number, I cannot exactly estimate how many because we sent it out and we were not involved in getting into the machine, but I think probably thousands that basically
thousands of ventilators
probably
with these parts
that basically did not have the right parts, and after you do that, they are functional.
Dr. Kam, I know that you and your colleagues are going to keep doing what you're doing, that higher education is going to play a more important role than ever before. Best to you and the community, the family at NJIT, and we thank you so much for joining us, Doctor.
I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to tell you about what we are doing. Thank you.
Well said. I'm Steve Adubato. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay safe, be well. We'll see you next time.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, the Russell Berrie Foundation, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, PSC&G, the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, NJM Insurance Group, Englewood Health, TD Bank, and by Eastern Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters. Promotional support provided by NorthJersey.com and Local IQ, part of the USA Today network, and by ROINJ.
It only gets better when we stand together to tough through and get by, even though it's harder than ever, 'cause we're gonna make it, long as we don't break it. Just do right, there's no sides, we must know it's possible.